Hello everyone, welcome back to Grey Brick Creations. My name is Michaela and today I'm going to be wood burning a Lazy Susan as a wedding gift for some friends down in Alabama. As you can see, it's pretty big. I've had this one in my stock for a while, so I'm pretty excited to get something wood burnt on it today. Come along with me to see how it turns out. I started out by creating a design for this project on my Canva. I basically just made a circle and put the design into that circle that was about the same size as the Lazy Susan. After I wrapped that up, I went ahead and I printed the design. Here you can see I had to print it on a few pieces of paper just based on the shape, and I'm going to trim these up with my paper cutter and then I will tape them together. Since most of my projects are a bit larger than a standard piece of paper, I have to go through this process on a lot of my projects, so I've got a pretty good handle on it at this point in time, and I basically just cut off the edges and then line them back up so they make the full picture of what I'm trying to trace onto the cutting board, or Lazy Susan in this case. After getting all the pieces taped together, I'm going to get this one put on the board. Luckily, I don't really have to center it or anything. I just have to make sure the circle matches to the circle of the board, and then I'm going to get that taped on. Now I'm going to take my tracing paper or my charcoal paper and put that under the paper that I'm going to be tracing on top of with the shiny side down. That always tells me that that's the part that the charcoal is actually going to transfer onto the wood. It usually goes pretty quick transferring the cursive lettering onto the board, just because I don't have to use a ruler and I can just trace over it real quick. But when it does come to more straight edge letters, I definitely like to use some sort of ruler or straight edge to make sure that I'm creating clean lines that I can trace over later with my wood burner. Here you can see I'm tracing over this seashell detail on the Lazy Susan. I was really excited to do this one. I don't get to do beach themes very often, so I was excited to do something a little bit different. But this specific seashell did have a lot of detail, so it took me a little bit longer to trace over. But watch at the end, it turns out really cool. Now that I've traced the entire stencil on, I'm going to go ahead and get that stencil paper taken off, and then I'm going to start wood burning. I'm going to start with the capital letters up at the top. So I want a wood burning tip that has kind of a straight edge so that I can really get into the nice straight edges of this first word. And then I want also something that has kind of a flat spoon surface, so once I do the outline of the letters, I can fill them in with that flatter spoon-like surface. Like I said, even with the tracing, these straight edge letters always take a little bit longer, whether I'm tracing them or actually doing the wood burning on them. So you'll see once I get to the cursive letters that they actually go a bit quicker, just because there's a little bit more flow. Here you can see I'm going to start on these cursive letters now, and I'm going to use this other tip that has a similar straight edge but also a bigger spoon-like surface, since this last name is a little bit bigger than the first few letters I was burning. It's always so satisfying to get these letters filled in and to see the little puffs of smoke that come off the wood burner. It's just a really great, like, instant gratification moment where you're filling these letters in, almost like coloring a picture. Alright, now I'm going to get started on these little letters here. I'm using another straight edge type tip since I don't really need to be filling in these letters since they're so small. I am not using the same tip that I used on the capital letters at the beginning of this project. I'm just going to use this flat edge tip, and it will basically fill itself in as I go through and burn the edges. There won't be a lot of space in between the edges and the middle of the letters that has to be filled in. I decided the cursive letters at the bottom of the Lazy Susan were also small enough to use this same tip with, and since I already had it out, I just went ahead and started working on those letters with the tip I already had on my wood burning machine. The last little detail that I need to fill in on this is the seashell. Like I said, I had a lot of fun doing this piece because I don't usually get to do a beachy themed piece. So I went ahead and I used that same tip to fill in the seashell. It was tedious, but I loved seeing how it turned out in the end. Alright, here you can see the finished product. It turned out so cute. I hope the family that it goes to loves it. Thanks again for watching.